Oh no! No! I'm definitely the sweatiest, palest person on this beach by a long way. But I'm here on Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. First time in the country, actually. First time in South America even, which is very exciting for me, to test this, the Oppo Find X7 Ultra. Now this did launch a couple of months ago in China. We've also had a few quite big updates to it since, improving the camera, and that's basically what I'm here to test. Oppo brought myself and a few other creators out here to Rio, and also we're going to go to Manaus in the middle of the Amazon rainforest to put this to the test, see how it compares to some of its rivals. This is the S24 Ultra, and just spend a bit of time with it because we have a very impressive quad 50 megapixel setup. We've got 2 zoom lenses. On paper, this is like one of the most impressive camera phones you can buy. It's a beautiful country, a sweaty subject. Let's see what this can do.
It's a brand new day. Wake up every morning and say, it's a brand new day. Take a good day, make it great, okay? Cause if you got some lemons, make some lemonade. Yeah, chase those clouds away. It's a brand new day.
For a bit of context, I've shot over 1,000 photos and videos on the X7 Ultra, Oppo's flagship phone. And yes, I do realize that no one in the history of time has ever wanted to sit through someone's holiday snaps, but stick around, not only for me losing my drone at the bottom of the Amazon River.
Oh, no! No! Holy shit, I am so sorry.
But I've come away genuinely very impressed by this camera. And so a big thank you to Oppo for sending me the X7 Ultra to play with and also inviting me on this incredible adventure. And starting out in Rio, this is the famous Copacabana Beach, and in this blistering sun you really can't get better lighting conditions to show off Oppo's second generation 1-inch sensor on the X7 Ultra in all of its glory. And actually, another one of the upgrades with the X7 Ultra is that the glass is now 50% less reflective, which is ideal for shots like this, with the sun reflecting off the sea. And to be honest, with such harsh sunlight, I'm surprised how well it handles the exposure, particularly in the darker areas, like this restaurant in the shade on the left. And Oppo is using a dual exposure here as part of the X7 Ultra's Hypertone image engine, helping to give us this wider dynamic range. To be fair though, most cameras would do well in this lighting, so to add a bit of context, let's bring in the Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. And while in good light, it can be kind of hard to pick them apart, just look at this portrait shot using the 3x telephoto. But which do you prefer? I think personally, I quite like the more natural warm tones of the Oppo, although the Samsung does seem to offer a little bit more detail in her face. There he is. The big man himself, Christ the Redeemer. In fact, here's 2 of him, and you can see the Oppo is leaning towards a more contrasty, deeper shadow look. I also never realized until I punched in with the telephoto lenses that Christ the Redeemer has this almost tile-like texture. But the views from up here are just insane. This is shot at 4K 60 on the X7 Ultra, and while I do think Oppo have fallen foul of focusing too much on photography and not enough on videography in the past, I'm very happy to report that videos have had a big upgrade this year as well. Okay, so 0.6 times, 1 times, 2, 3, 6. That's not bad, look at that. Can we go further? 10, 18 times. One thing that's sort of jumping out at me as myself and the other creators on this trip are using this phone is just how good the portraits are and just how natural it looks, particularly if you use the 3 or the 6 times optical zooms. There's just something about the color science with the Hasselblad partnership and the color, but also the relatively big sizes of the sensors on the telephoto periscope zooms as well. You can just get some really crisp, professional looking shots that you just can't on most other phones that you can hold in your hand. Good morning, it is day 2 in Rio de Janeiro and we're at the Ceylon Steps. The first thing that struck me was that you see sort of Instagram pictures of this. Well, I guess you can do the Instagram versus reality. This is a Wednesday morning about 10 AM. And we have to use the AI eraser tool, I think, to get rid of some of these people. In fact, let's just give it a go. Connor here with his Arsenal shirt is kind of ruining the background. So firing up the AI Eraser tool, which is built into the Photo Gallery app, I can either draw around him or paint an area, and after a few seconds, the AI will generative fill the area and remove those pesky photo bombers. Okay, I found some shade. Let's talk about the specs on the X7 Ultra. We've got a 50 megapixel quad camera setup. So every lens, the main, the ultra wide, and the two telephoto periscopes all have the same resolution. And one of the things Oppo is really trying to do is maintain a sort of consistent quality, color, detail for the different lenses. There isn't like a weak point. In fact, they're calling this the first quad main camera system, which is obviously their marketing spiel. But we also obviously have the 1-inch sensor on the main lens using the Sony LYT-900. There's only a handful of phones that give us 1-inch sensors. Now you can also see here the two telephotos are periscope lenses. So we have a 3x optical and a 6x. But then you can go even further from that. And actually, following a couple of recent updates, some quite big updates to the camera, they've actually optimized the 10 up to 13.3x focal range, so up to 300 millimeters. So you really can very quickly get up to quite a long focal range with this. It's very good. So this is the ultra wide, 0.6x, 1, 2, 3x optical, that is, 6x optical, and that is actually impressively smooth as well. And I'm recording at 4K 60, switching through all the different lenses, which you can't do on a lot of phones actually, especially at this resolution, and you can do that in the Dolby Vision HDR mode. I'm also very happy to report that finally we have 4K 60 on the selfie camera. For years I feel like it was topping out at 4K 30, but no, there we go. And this is the wide mode, it's 0.8x, this is 1x, and you've also got 2x. I'll probably stick to that for my little vlogs. The other thing I'm noticing is that it does obviously blur out the highlights quite a bit there. It's exposing for me and I'm in the shadow, and it is pretty bright over there. But I do find myself actually switching round to use the rear cameras, just like flipping it in my hand for a better shot, but that's the same with any phone really. As I say, they have also partnered with Hasselblad again, so we're getting their sort of color science and expertise. We're getting the camera UI with that shutter button click and the orange here, but we also get some of the usual modes that you get with an Oppo, including X-Pan, which I think is really underrated. You can't get a bad shot using the X-Pan mode because you have this really wide aspect ratio, and with this more retro-y color filters and the black and white mode, you can take this anywhere and get some really artsy looking shots. There's always a crowd watching the sunset here, which is pretty spectacular looking across Ipanema Beach here in Rio. And once it gets fully dark, the big lights come out and the party vibes kick in. Both phones do a really good job, and actually the shutter lag, which is often a big limitation, particularly in low light, isn't too bad at all, with the moving ball here slightly more in focus on the Oppo. Okay, it's 2 a.m. We've just arrived in Manaus. We're getting a boat to the hotel thing, which I think is on a pontoon on the river. I feel like we've been kidnapped. Well, to be honest, if I had been kidnapped, I probably would have been okay with it, because just look at this view. I'm about 30 minutes outside of Manaus at this Amazon rainforest hotel barge thing. I never imagined when I started this Tech Chat channel that I would be here in the bloody rainforest taking pictures with a phone. So I've gone from snapping photos of posy tourists, myself included, to bullet ants, which apparently have one of the most painful bites in the world. And there we have something on fire, but also just look how the X7 Ultra captures that thick, velvety smoke. I've never seen something burning look so good. This is an Amazon original production. And to be honest, I didn't take pictures of much else because I was too busy trying to not get heat stroke and also bitten by a million mozzies. But one of the best experiences was jumping on a boat at night and seeing what we could find, including these baby caiman crocodiles. And that is nearly it. We're leaving the Amazon hotel. Not the most secure little entrance and exit, but we're getting on a boat now. We're almost done. Thank you for sticking with me. It's our last day in Brazil, and we went off exploring a bit of the Amazon River. Again, looking like massive tourists as I waved to the locals passing by, but it was fascinating to capture the homes, the people, the life, and the thing is, while I've spent a lot of this video talking about the X7 Ultra specs and 1-inch sensors and its hyper-image engine and different modes and settings, the fact is I've captured some stunning shots with this, videos as well. And it has all been in auto mode, point and shoot, and no edits or filters either. But if you do fancy tinkering, then swipe over to Master Mode. This is essentially the Pro mode, up to full resolution 50 megapixels, 16-bit, you can tinker with all the settings, and this Hasselblad Master Mode is designed to match the aesthetic of the Hasselblad X2D 100C. So if you know what you're doing, you can get a proper professional look out of this. The biggest problem with the X7 Ultra though is that you just can't buy it. Unfortunately, this is the China model. Oppo sent this as a review device for me to play with, and I did have to go and download the Play Store and use APKs and make it basically non-China. So you can import it, or there's a small chance that they will launch this in other markets. Hopefully, we see future Oppo phones, perhaps the X8 Ultra later in the year, we'll have to see. The combination of the sensor size, the processing, that Hasselblad aesthetic, Oppo have done a fantastic job with the fine X7 Ultra. So I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I did making it. A huge thanks to Oppo for this, well, opportunity. Any questions, drop a comment below, and I'll see you next time right here on the Tech Chat.